Hi, and welcome to Using InterLibrary Loan for Genealogy. The goal of this class is to introduce you to the various features of InterLibrary Loan and how it's used in genealogical research. While the examples and procedures covered in this class apply to Mid-Continent Public Library customers, many local libraries also offer InterLibrary Loan service. So if you're attending this class from outside the greater Kansas City area, check your local library systems to see if they participate in InterLibrary Loan and to learn more about their procedures, policies, and fees. In short, InterLibrary Loan provides a way for customers to borrow resources from libraries and archives outside their local library systems. Not all resources can be obtained through InterLibrary Loan. Generally speaking, requests for resources owned by a large number of different lending libraries are much more likely to be filled than requests for scarce resources only available in a few locations. So, more options equals more success with having your InterLibrary Loan request filled. Just a couple of notes about Mid-Continent Public Library's ILL policies. If you're not a Mid-Continent Public Library customer, these are topics to discuss with your local library about their ILL program if they have one. Mid-Continent Public Library does not charge our customers for this service, but the lending library, not Mid-Continent Public Library, sets the terms of the loan, including fees, and policies do vary from library to library. If the lender charges a loan fee for an ILL resource, our ILL department will contact you to authorize the fee before the loan is finalized. You must have a current Mid-Continent Public Library account to utilize our ILL service. This can be a public, student, paid, or research account, but blocked or barred accounts are ineligible for ILL services. Also, ILL materials borrowed by Mid-Continent Public Library have a 2-week loan period. We'll discuss renewal options in detail in just a moment. As this slide indicates, you should always check your library's catalog before placing an ILL request. You might be surprised at the scope of their resources. If you're a Mid-Continent Public Library customer, once you've verified that your resource is not available through Mid-Continent, your next step is to search Worldcat. The Worldcat database contains more than 50 million records, including books, musical scores, audiovisual materials, and more. It's run by OCLC, that's the Online Computer Library Center, a nonprofit organization. The image on this screen is from mymcpl.org, the Mid-Continent Public Library website homepage. If you're working from a home computer, your request will begin here. You can also ask any branch staff for assistance with this process if you're not comfortable submitting your own online request. Either way, you'll need to have your library card handy. You will be prompted to enter your library account number at some point in the process. This slide shows the Worldcat search form. Note that this form allows you to search for a keyword or topic, an author, a title, or to search by ISBN number or publication year. For today's example, we're going to do a basic title search for a book entitled Irish Migrants in Canada's. Remember to click the search button below the form after entering your title information. Worldcat offers customer a variety of resources, such as books, CDs, and DVDs, but not periodicals or internet resources like the top result shown here beside the globe icon. Circled, you'll notice that each of the bottom 3 book options indicate a large number of libraries with the resource we were hoping to borrow. More options equals more success. Our chances of getting this resource through InterLibrary Loan is very good, but if only a few libraries owned this book, we would be much less likely to have our ILL request accepted and filled. Finally, according to the bottom entry, Mid-Continent Public Library, our home library, has the 1988 edition of the book we're looking for. So Mid-Continent Public Library customers would not want to request this particular book through ILL unless they wanted a newer edition, like the 2004 edition shown in the second entry above. For today's Step 4, we are going to select that 2004 publication and proceed by clicking on the blue title. Once you select the resource you want to request from the list of results, your next step is to click on one of the ILL shaking hands symbols. These are located at both the top and the bottom of the page. You could also click on the words "Borrow this item from another library" within the Resources Detailed Record section. All three of these options will move you along to the next step in the process. Your last step is to complete the registration form by filling in all of the required or asterisk fields, such as name, phone, and library card information. Adding an email address helps facilitate the notification process if your request is canceled. And don't forget to select a pickup location. For Mid-Continent Public Library customers, this can be any Mid-Continent Public Library branch, but not headquarters, which is the default setting. So, you've submitted your request. What happens next? Some ILL requests, such as those that are not readily available from regional lenders, can take quite some time to process. Please make only one request per title. Duplicate requests slow down the process. Worldcat does offer you the option of creating your own Worldcat account, which will enable you to see if your request is pending and still being processed, shipped, received by the ILL department, or returned. If you opt to create this account, please set it up with your Mid-Continent Public Library card number as your username and your library PIN as the password. Unlike holds placed on resources within the Mid-Continent Public Library system, your InterLibrary Loan hold request will not show up on your account until headquarters receives the item from the vendor. Think of it this way: it's only a request until that request is accepted and sent by the lending library. Once it's received by the ILL department, your request becomes an actual hold, and ILL holds display in capital letters in your Mid-Continent Public Library profile. Once processed by the ILL department, your hold is sent on to the branch you designated on the request form, and you'll be notified of its availability as you would for any other in-system hold. Earlier, you heard that the lending library sets the conditions for interlibrary loans, and that also applies to your loan's renewal options. If you decide that you need a bit more time with your interlibrary loan, make sure you place your renewal request with a Mid-Continent Public Library staff member before the original due date for that material. That request is then sent on to the Mid-Continent ILL department at headquarters, who will then contact the lending library to see if your loan can be renewed. You're allowed to keep the material while this renewal request is pending without accruing any fines. Sometimes, situations like those shown on this screen cause an interlibrary loan request to be denied. Mid-Continent Public Library customers, if your ILL request is canceled, you will most likely be notified through our workflow system, either by email or phone, based on your Mid-Continent Public Library account preferences. Even if your initial request does go unfilled, you still have options. Option number 1. You can opt to resubmit your request through Worldcat, either on your own or with library staff assistance. Option number 2. You can ask library staff to submit a copy request, asking for photocopies or scans of specific portions of the resource. For example, you could request copies of the title page and any pages that include the name of an ancestor within the publication. Bear in mind that library policies and U.S. copyright law may limit the number of pages that can be copied or scanned. Also, while many libraries, like Midwest Genealogy Center, photocopy or scan resources at no charge, some owning libraries may only offer this copy service for a fee. Requested scans are then sent to you in the manner you requested, either through email or to your designated branch for pickup. If you are unable to borrow a book through InterLibrary Loan, you might search for an electronic or digitized copy of this resource to view on a tablet or computer. Each of the sites on this slide cover a wide range of topics and subjects, and With the exception of some Google Books, they can all be used at no cost. From obits to newsy stories about family members, newspapers can provide genealogists with a wealth of family information. In addition to more than 24 newspaper databases, the Midwest Genealogy Center also has an extensive microfilm and fiche newspaper collection that includes publications from a variety of locations and dates. You can view the MGC newspaper microform holdings on the MGC website by clicking the Resources tab and then selecting Browse Resources in the tile entitled Resources for Genealogy and Family History. Once on this page, scroll down to MGC Microform Holdings Guides, shown here, to review the films currently available for viewing at MGC. If your research requires a newspaper or other microfilm resource that is not available at MGC, you can move further down on this same web page to the section entitled Borrowing Microfilm Not Owned by MGC to access a Google Doc to request these microfilm or fiche resources through InterLibrary Loan. Please fill in this form as completely as possible to expedite your request. Unlike ILL print resources, which are checked out to customers to take home to read or watch, ILL microform resources are loaned from one library to another library, not to an individual, so these resources must be viewed on-site in a library branch with microform readers. On the microform request form, Mid-Continent Public Library customers will elect to receive their loan at one of 4 branch locations: Midwest Genealogy Center, Liberty, North Oak, or Platte City. When processing your ILL film requests, we always begin by looking for repositories that offer free interlibrary loans. However, the form used to request films asks you to specify a not to exceed amount, just in case your films are not available without a charge. For example, films borrowed from the State Historical Society of Missouri's extensive Missouri newspaper collection each cost $2.50 per reel. Since we're noting some lender specifics, the Kansas Historical Society currently only loans microfilm to Kansas libraries. However, since Mid-Continent Public Library customers are eligible for a reciprocal library account with Johnson County Public Library, you might consider ordering Kansas films through the Johnson County Public Library system and reviewing those ILL films at one of their branches. Also, the Family History Library in Salt Lake City no longer loans microfilm through InterLibrary Loan, but the Midwest Genealogy Center microform collection includes over 55,000 Family History Library films, searchable by FHL film number in one of our online microform holdings guides. And these films are available for viewing 7 days each week here at MGC. While you wait for your ILL microform loan to arrive, you might check out some of the Mid-Continent Public Library newspaper databases, which cover the United States and many countries around the world. These can be accessed on the Midwest Genealogy Center website by selecting first Resources, then Browse Resources, and finally Newspaper Databases. There are also a number of excellent online newspaper databases, such as the Library of Congress's Chronicling America, Joe Biney's Ancestor Hunt, Cindy's List, and a variety of state and local historical societies, like Missouri Digital Heritage, shown on this slide. If your newspaper microfilm is not available through InterLibrary Loan, you might consider contacting the local library to see if they are willing to do a lookup for an article or obituary, and then to mail or email that article to you. You can also check that library's website for digitized newspapers or name indexes. Finally, earlier we touched on placing a copy request to obtain photocopies or scans of publications not available for InterLibrary Loan. This same copy request can be used to obtain copies of periodical articles through the ILL process, and periodical articles can be great sources of information for family historians. Percy, found online in the Find My Past database, searches for keywords and names in article titles and catalog content. To submit a copy request for articles of interest, copy down the key information such as article title, author, publication, volume and issue numbers, date, pages, etc., and then ask a library staff member to assist you in submitting an ILL copy or serial request form. Once completed, these forms are forwarded to the Mid-Continent Public Library ILL department, and when filled, headquarters will send the article directly to you. Note, this process can take some time, perhaps even weeks. FamilySearch.org also offers full text of some periodical titles. Note that a catalog search of the periodical title will likely yield more results than a book search for these resources. We hope you've enjoyed this presentation on using InterLibrary Loan for genealogy. Please take a moment to note the Midwest Genealogy Center contact information on this slide, and feel free to let us know how we can be of help to you and your genealogy research in the future.